Welcome to the Jedi Forge. We are going to talk tonight about the second season of The Mandalorian, where that's been taking us in the Star Wars world and where we might be going in the Star Wars universe in upcoming shows and movies. So I thought we'd start by talking about the first episode of season 2 called The Marshal. I thought this one was a great introduction to Boba Fett and bringing in the Boba Fett armor. So we got to see Timothy Olyphant wear the Boba Fett armor. And it looked a little strange right when he was wearing it because he's so tall, and it didn't look like it fit him right. But this episode took us through like an entire story where it was kind of like a mini movie, I thought. So that's where we started. And we get to see them defeat a Krayt Dragon, which before this, in all the expanded universe stories and all the books, defeating a Krayt Dragon is something that's like from the comic books and the books that only a Jedi can normally do. It's such a huge task. And in this episode, which was like a mini movie, we got to see the Tusken Raiders get teamed up with the townspeople, get teamed up with Timothy Olyphant wearing Boba Fett's armor, the Marshal. And we got to see Din Djarin bring together all those people, which is foreshadowing a little bit, I think, of what was going to happen in the final episode of season 2, which we'll get to a little bit later, where the Mandalorian actually gets hold of the Darksaber. And they begin to describe how that means that he's going to potentially he's in line for being the next Mandalore. That's kind of set up in the first episode of season 2 that, Sand people bringing together, Sand people, townspeople, all these different groups to actually come together and work together to defeat one of the worst monsters that we knew existed on Tatooine, like one of the oldest creatures. What's going on, Tim? Tim McAndrew is here. Thanks for joining me tonight. I appreciate you being here. Merry Christmas to you, Tim. And let's see here. I'm gonna bring up another still here. So this episode, I liked how there was that slow ride through the town. And this lady reappears that she's part of the dock that he lands on. She also has the droids that fix his ship. The ship gets pretty ruined a lot of the time. Okay, so here's the first shot we see of the Marshal, and we see that armor that we all know of, the Boba Fett armor, but it looks strange on this guy, right? It doesn't look the same. It doesn't look the same as we remember because it's on this different figure, and then we find out quickly who that is and why he has the armor. He describes it. Let's go through this a little bit. I actually really like this scene, how he uses that backpack like bomb and fires it at those insurgents. But he used it great. This is the moment that he does that. He blew them up. One of the things that I think is pretty impressive with the Mandalorian himself, a lot of people think that, Baby Yoda, Grogu steals this show every time. Like, what are we going to do that now he's off with the Jedi? But this episode really shows you that Din Djarin is actually a pretty spectacular hero in his own right, because he gets these monsters together. Like, who would have thought that anybody could work with the Sand People? That seems like something the Mandalore might have to do, is be able to bring these different clans together. We've got those groups like Bo-Katan's group, had different factions of Mandalorians all spread across the galaxy, and we need somebody that can bring those people together. Megtooth Sith is here. Merry Christmas, Tom. Thank you. Repulse Custom Sounds is here. Thank you for being here. What is up? Just talking about the Mandalorian tonight. I think a couple guests will stop by. We'll go through the episodes, and obviously the main thing we all want to talk about is that final episode. So, but since I didn't talk about any of these episodes this year yet, I thought we would go through them one by one, and just kind of for the setup for that final episode. I think this whole thing wraps up into a nice package by the end, so it's nice to know where we were starting from in season 2. Let's see. Now, some people say that this speeder is like Anakin's speeder, that the Marshal uses part of it anyway. I think that's bringing in a lot of too much coincidental stuff into the show. We started that so long ago with C-3PO being built by Anakin, and we in the prequels there was a lot of things tied together. I'm not really sure that really needed to be always tied together, and just like too many coincidences. I know this is Tatooine, but for the Marshal to actually have part of Anakin, the main character's property, seems a little too coincidental. And I know that the Mandalorian has the Beskar armor, which is impervious, but it's pretty strange that this acid spit from the Krayt Dragon, and he's embedded in it. He's embedded inside the belly of this creature, but at the end of the episode, he is expelled from the creature. He fires his rockets. He gets out of there before it blows up, or as it blows up, and he's covered in this stuff that actually burn people to a crisp. But even his cloth sections are okay. But I guess that's one of the things that you just have to deal with in the story. A little bit of inconsistencies. Like, I know he's got Beskar, but it's certainly not all over him. Pretty cool to see a couple backpack wielding, jetpack wielding people. Oh, and the artwork at the end is one of my favorite parts. Usually Ryan Church or what's the other guy's name? Actually, the concept artists who draw these before they create the show, and then it's shown at the end. This is one of the things we didn't get with the final episode of the series. I guess to actually make it more dramatic, they just had a black screen at the end, whereas every other episode includes these incredible concept art pieces by Doug Chang or Ryan Church usually, and they're some of my favorite artists. I have a lot of books about these guys. Let's see what we got for this next one. In chapter 10, I like how he plays that trick with his jetpack. He obviously has controls on his wrist, and he allows that thief to take the jetpack, and he is killed. He is killed by that once he takes RC control over that jetpack. this lady's still involved. Now, this is the episode where the fish lady comes into play, and we have this episode where we actually can't use hyperspace at all. So the Mandalorian has to transport this new character to her husband so that she could give birth to these fish. And we can't use hyperspace because it damages the larvae, the eggs, and they run into massive trouble because of that. Now, the thing that I didn't like about this episode that I thought was a bit strange was that once they do crash land on a in-between planet where they actually didn't mean to go to, they just got chased by X-wings and stuff. When they actually were crash landed on that planet making repairs, the fish lady character or the frog lady, she is so protective of her little tadpoles, but she takes them to this hot spring, endangering them with all these gigantic spiders by the end. So that just seemed a little inconsistent to me, but I guess I had to make an episode of it, maybe make it a little bit like a horror situation with those spiders. But to me, this is a little bit strange that they didn't protect those eggs more, especially when they were crash landed here. But it showed her intelligence. It showed that she was, technologically savvy and maybe has something to do later. She did reprogram this droid, was able to speak to the Mandalorian through this droid, through this, I guess, using it as kind of a translator. Some of the things she explained, she doesn't withhold herself. She says this is the number one most important thing, but it ends up ruining the ship having this swim that they needed. Plus, it almost killed everybody. We've got a guest in the back room. Let's see who it is. Let's see who it is here.
I'm sensing a powerful mind.
There he is.
What's up?
It's Gabe and baby Grogu himself.
That's right. Little Grogu came to the show with me.
Is that the type that can speak? Like, what are the different is there different Grogus that maybe some of them speak or some of them move on their own? I heard
that's the animatronic one, but this one isn't. This one's the actual sideshow statue that I pre-ordered like last year. And
is this the one you did the unboxing on the channel?
Correct. This is the one we did the unboxing of. Yep, the sideshow Grogu.
Did you come with that necklace?
No, this is actually off of one of our other Grogus that we just put it on there as an accessory.
Looks good. It looks legit.
Yeah, this
looks
is
like it's from the show.
Yeah, this is the most realistic looking Grogu we have. I mean, hair and everything. It's crazy sick. You would have to see this up close, in detail how amazing it looks.
What were you thinking when Grogu was feasting on the eggs of this creature?
Oh, that was so crazy. I didn't know how I felt though. I didn't like it at first,
Same here. I thought he was kind of being mean.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of actually stupid to put in the show, man. I didn't think that was necessary to add on there, but you try to have an open mind. He is an alien. God knows what his diet is, what they eat. He's a baby at that and all. Babies put everything in their mouths. As a father, I know that. But so, I tried to have an open mind about it, but I particularly didn't like that scene. I didn't think it went with the whole mood of everything,
Yeah, same here. I didn't think it got I didn't really laugh. I think maybe you're supposed to laugh or something, and it just kept going on. I felt like when I rewatched the second time, it wasn't as bad to me because I guess I knew it was going to happen, but I just felt like the baby Yoda just never listened.
Yeah, right. But then again, he's supposed to be. I mean, he's 50 years old, but he's supposed to be like what, equivalent to like a 2-year-old child or something.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what they call the terrible twos. So, I try to keep a open mind because of that. Yeah, he's 50 years old, but he ain't 50 up here like Obi-Wan kind of wisdom and fully grown adult Yoda. He's still a 2-year-old kid who's hard-headed and just wants to eat.
True.
But it was pretty good.
How about this like swim that they took in episode 2? Didn't you think that was a little unnecessary of this mother?
Well, I mean, I guess
Especially
she was
after
trying to keep she was trying to keep the eggs warm.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But like they ruined the ship so badly that now there was no, climate control in the ship and stuff like that. But I mean, I guess she didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, there was some weird stuff going on here and there, but I expect it as a TV show,
Now, do you think there was a faster path to the Jedi if the Mandalorian actually just maybe, I don't know, turned himself in here or explained to these pilots that, like, listen, we're looking for Jedi? Maybe he could have brought them directly to Leia or directly to Luke.
That's true. But being that they were kind of approaching him from like a criminal standpoint because he had just broken laws and they were looking to arrest this guy for whatever, the Mandalorian or Din Djarin for whatever he'd done. I don't think he's going to speak a lot and say what he's up to because he doesn't know what they, who they know. He's looking at Jedi as sorcerers and wizards and magicians and witches or whatever. He doesn't understand the Force like that. You understand? So I don't think he was going to be talking a lot and giving out any information as to who he's looking for and for what, because he doesn't know what's going to be used against him, because the pilots here, they're basically like space cops. They're like, we could bring you in because you did this, and that, but I get
And maybe like he would have got caught in a lot of red tape.
Yeah.
Like Grogu himself, and then the Mandalorian would have lost control over protecting him.
Yeah. That
was probably part of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This was kind of like a little bit of a, I don't know. I guess this got them to Ahsoka. Was the reason for this one?
Yeah.
That kind of, because like then they said, oh, like once we get to this father or the husband, then he would know the next step.
Yeah, it's always one of those I know a guy that knows a guy type of thing, And it kept leading from one thing to the next to get to finally to get to Ahsoka, which was pretty badass. That was one of the awesomest things ever.
I wonder how that would have been if it was like completely unexpected. Like we all kind of heard that, but it still seemed unlikely to me that it seemed like unreal that would happen.
I think you hit it right on the nail. Seemed unreal. Like we already knew it was happening, but even when it came on, like our jaws are on the floor. Like we couldn't believe what we were watching. Like this isn't happening,
Yeah.
And the same thing with the latest episode with Luke showing up,
So in this episode 3, they're still not at the habitat or the planet of the frog lady, but they kind of almost crash land there a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they do meet up with the husband. Now, I thought that when I first watched this, I thought that the shadowed creature was the shadowed figure was Ahsoka. I thought the skin seemed like orange to me. Of that person under the hood, but then no, it turned out to be like the woman that's with Bo-Katan in the armor, right? I don't know her name.
Yeah.
This was an interesting part where like that really took me by surprise when they slammed the pod, which had the baby in it, into the sea.
Yeah.
And especially because that character who made this contraption, like this transport pod for Grogu, this is like the last thing from that character, because that guy died. Like his creatures that they rode in season 1, he died. The guy played by Nick Nolte.
Yeah.
And what else did he have that from that guy that got destroyed as well? Oh, the IG unit.
Yeah.
So they don't have anything left but this thing. And then when this thing emerged from the water, it was destroyed. They couldn't even open it. Remember, they had to like pull the cap off.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit sad that they have nothing left from like the Nick Nolte character anymore. Yeah. Everything's been destroyed. And I almost thought that when they got that staff from that woman who described Grand Admiral Thrawn, and I guess in like episode, what was that, 5 or 6?
Mm-hmm.
That I thought he was going to take that spear that was made of pure Beskar and kind of have someone formulate it into another pod to protect Grogu.
Yeah.
I like what he did with it instead, which was just use it as a weapon.
Yeah, right.
So when this group gets there, like what happened to this dude on the right in the actual final episode? Where do you think he was? Because he's just not there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good point. I never paid attention to that. He just disappeared, right?
Yeah, what was that about? Because this was like a really good trio.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's just there as a third wheel, just for show. They're like, let's put him in there like to make him look like a crew, but he's not really that important.
Yeah.
His character is probably not that important, and then the focus is on Bo-Katan and what's her name from the wrestler girl. I forget her name.
Gina Carano, the
No. The one to the left there, Bo-Katan. She's also a wrestler. I think she's.
Oh, for real? I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's one of them diva. I think WWE girls or something like that. Oh, I forget her name. She's cool though. But yeah, I guess they wanted to focus more on their female characters there than opposed to him. I don't know why.
Meg Tootsits Saber says everyone is talking about Mando. Yeah, I guess it's like the one like really good thing we have going so far. So a lot of interesting stuff has happened in these 8 short episodes.
Yeah.
He also says season 2 was sick. Yeah, like they packed a lot into this. I'm used to watching TV shows lately that have like 20-something episodes. Yeah. So it's, it's kind of weird that a lot of these shows now are coming out with, like, you have The Boys, they have what, eight episodes per season. You have this Mandalorian, 8 episodes per season, and they're kind of choosing how long they are, and some of them are quite short. I know one episode this season was about 30 minutes, 33 minutes maybe, including the credits. Whereas, shows that, like, let's say are pulled from TV, they're more that you might find on Netflix or something like that. They're more oriented for either 30 minutes or 60 minutes minus commercials or something like that. And then you usually would get like 20 or 24 episodes. You'd be able to span a lot of information. With these, they kind of have to pack the stuff in, even though the pacing is not too fast. It's kind of a slow paced show, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. They did amazing. They did an amazing job with The Mandalorian. That thing was one of the best things to happen to Star Wars right now. Disney or not Disney, they did a good show. They did a good thing. It's got a lot of people tuned in. It's got a lot of people paying attention now to Star Wars. And Ahsoka made it awesome. The last episode was epic. I can't wait to see what the next season brings, They're doing great things. I saw that they announced a lot of new shows coming out, new series and different things, animations and or possibly movies, which is going to be cool to be on the lookout for. To be honest,
I wonder how many of those are actually going to make it to be a show. You think they'll all? There was kind of a lot of stuff announced. I don't know if all those announcements are going to turn into something real.
Yeah, I don't know. I only time will tell. Only time will tell. Because a lot of stuff pans out, a lot of stuff doesn't, a lot of stuff changes throughout time. I mean, I hear this that the next season of Mandalorian might not even be till like the end of next year or something like that,
Right.
or further or something like that. So you got a lot of opportunity for other things to happen. They might push other series in between now and then before the next Mandalorian season starts.
Possibly with things maybe crossing over.
Yeah, I saw like they announced Ahsoka might get her own show, Boba Fett, things like that. Unless the Boba Fett thing is just going to be the next season of Mandalorian, and he might get his own show. So there's a lot of things going on aside from the Bad Batch, the clones and all these other things, and animation stuff is going to come out. There's a lot to look forward to. We can only hope that most of it, if not all, is as good as the Mandalorian has been.
I speculate that Boba Fett, the book of Boba Fett, would be a 4-episode like miniseries, possibly. And just because I heard that Obi-Wan series is going to be 4 episodes,
Yeah.
hopefully like closer to an hour each. And I would kind of guess that this Din Djarin character in The Mandalorian will play a role there, as far as like maybe the Boba Fett series airs, and then as it's ending, this character, the Mandalorian, could come into that like whatever scenario they put forth and potentially complete it, or like pick that up a little bit in his season.
Yeah. Who knows, man? There's a lot of window of opportunity for some cool things to happen, man.
A lot of people think that it'll have to be like focused around the Darksaber a lot. Season 3 of The Mandalorian will have to be kind of a bit about the Darksaber, because they were hinting that there.
Yeah. What do you call? Yeah, I mean, it left it. It left it. This last episode, it left, I think, several unanswered questions, like open-ended stuff to be continued. But it's supposed to be, because it's a series, But I'm curious to see how this all plays out, man. I'm just glad to see how they're not stupid what they're doing. They're just like, they're not improvising. Like, however it comes out, whatever story comes out of it comes out. They're all planning years in advance, of series and things like that. Disney's not stupid. They're about money. So they're going to plan 5, 10, 15 years ahead of ideas and concepts. And
well, hopefully they like learn their lesson about that, because I think they lost big money when they killed Luke Skywalker in episode 8. That I think that character for episode 8 and episode 9 is worth probably like $1.5 to $2 billion.
Yeah.
And it's kind of proven when Rise of Skywalker came out and actually made 50% of the money that episode 7 did. So that tells you there's a drop off of 50% of the audience left.
Yeah.
So that's big. And when that first movie of the sequel trilogy made whatever it was, $2 billion, and you're talking about you made 50% of that for the third one, you lost half the audience. Now we're talking about there's a $1 billion discrepancy there, and then whatever was lost in mouth to mouth, like word of mouth for The Last Jedi. As that was happening, as that was coming out, and people were giving their reports and their reviews, and they're having discussions about it, and maybe certain people didn't go see it as many times as they would see another Star Wars movie. So there was a lot of money lost there. I really do. I did think that they were about money, but after The Last Jedi, I'm not so sure. You know what I mean? I'm not so sure that's all they think about. I don't know what they think about. That was a huge, huge folly.
Yeah.
And monetary loss. So they're trying to. I'm kind of hoping through all this that we get over the next few years that it kind of veers away from like, by the time we end up with the Luke material that we might get, like we just started getting the other night when that final episode aired. I'm really hoping that angle translates to like us not ending up at episode 7 and episode 8, but from where I'm standing right now, there's no other evidence to suggest that it's not going to end up there. So that's the only like stain on this whole thing, is that like we know where this is going, and it's like, I don't know, it's a weird place where like the hero's a bum and he dies and stuff like that, and he commits suicide because he uses the Force too much, and that's like where it ends up. But hopefully they veer off into some other more more acceptable scenario, and maybe even like something like with the type of like reaction people gave to this, which is awesome. People love this. Repulse Custom Sounds is Link here. Hey Link, I've known Link for a really long time. Link is an awesome member of FX Sabers Forum. He makes his own sound fonts. Repulse Custom Sounds, probably repulsecustomsounds.com. Definitely check that out for your lightsaber.
Oh yeah, I just recently downloaded 2 fonts from there. Amazing.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, just last week I got Ultimate Star Killing and a new Ahsoka Tano one from the Mandalorian series. I think those were by fonts by Fours though, if I'm not mistaken, on that website. But amazing sound fonts.
Yeah, Repulse does not offer their sound fonts on soundfont.com, I believe, but they are on his own website.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He also says the ending concept art pieces are always awesome. Yeah, I really missed that in that final episode, and I'm thinking, how cool of concept art must they have had for Luke?
Like, why not show that? That would have been the. Well, then again, they had like post-credit scene with Boba Fett, but that would have been like, it's the season finale. That should have been a moment for that concept art to really shine through, and really showcase, like you're saying, Luke. Some of that concept art must have looked amazing.
The only reason I could think that they wouldn't do it would be like kind of like in Game of Thrones. There was like an episode called The Red Wedding, which is like a very surprising and like violent episode. And at the end of it, they don't play music like they normally would have during the credits. So I was thinking, is it something like that where this is so like, I guess, epic or so surprising that they're just saying, just here's the black screen with the names, rather than with the cast and all that, rather than placing those names and all that credits over the artwork like they did on every other episode. I was thinking, maybe it's just for the stunning effect that the ending of the episode had.
Yeah.
We have another guest in the back. Let's see who it is.
I need him.
What's going on, Harris? How are you?
Hello.
Good to see you, buddy.
You too, guys. I
There
haven't
he
seen you
is.
guys in a while.
Yeah, man.
Hope you're all well. Hope you're all doing good. Hope you're
Yeah,
all staying
definitely.
safe.
Yes, sir.
Happy holidays.
Merry
Likewise.
Christmas. Yeah.
Merry Christmas. Gabe, you got your son with you?
Yeah, I got little Grogu here. Little Grogu.
Harris, I think an alarm's going off on your, maybe on your phone or on your.
I don't hear anything.
Gabe, do you hear that?
On my end.
I do hear like a high pitch.
I know that when Harris's alarm goes off, you can't hear it because
I'm half deaf.
Yeah, like you don't have that range there.
No,
So
I got
think
headphones in, but I don't hear anything. You want me to log out and log back in?
No, you know what? I think it's that alarm that goes off with the. Maybe I don't hear it anymore. I think it's okay.
I still hear it. What alarm are you talking about?
It's like he has an alarm that goes off when something is out of batteries or out of whack. Oh, I actually hear it again. Harris, do you know what I mean? Like it's one of your medical devices, I think.
No, nothing. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
I do hear it. Hold on. It's my insulin pump. Stand by. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
Gabe, tell me what you thought of this guy, this Imperial guy who is like pretty hardcore that he killed himself.
Oh, him, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this dude, he was like no joke. He was all in, dude. He was kamikaze. He was all in. He was all about helping the Empire.
He's the only one here that like knew the stakes, don't you think?
Yeah, like he understood. He understood his job. He understood, he was doing his job basically. He's holding that position down, doing his job. And just didn't care who had to die for it.
This dude, like, the weird thing I thought about what Bo-Katan had to seem to say to the audience around this ending of this episode, I felt like she like mentioned too much the dark saber. She was like, "There's something that Moff Gideon has that I need." I think we could have left it at that. Then like she comes back and it's like she's like, "I need the dark saber." It's like, okay, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
Let us, I don't know, ponder this for a second, right? I don't know, like it was like a little too much, like
you wanted a little bit more build up and suspension.
Like just like let me maybe think about that for a second, like what does Moff Gideon have or whatever. But it's just like they just couldn't help but like tell the audience like, oh, it's a dark saber. It's like, okay, just like maybe bring that up in the next episode, and then you have already set it up by her saying, there's something that he has that I need. Just like leave it at that, and then we'll come back to it later. But they've got to they got to pull the trigger in that episode for whatever reason, and say and kind of feed you that.
Yeah.
But all this, this is the moment where I feel like we got like an explanation or a class of character of a class of Mandalorian. Now, if anyone has read the the expanded universe books or played Knights of the Old Republic video game back in 2003, 2005, you'll know that there's different classes of Mandalorian. So there's like, the ultimate guy would be the Mandalore. He's the leader. He's like the president. Then you have, maybe like you saw in the show, an armorer. You might have a weapons master. You might have, someone who's like the battle master who teaches people how to fight. And you might have the unarmed, Terrace Kasai master, whoever. And it might teach like the martial arts moves of the Mandalorians. And you have all these different classes. Now it's just like a video game or a one of those role-playing games. How some people are tanks, and the tank takes all the damage. And I think in this part of this episode, we kind of find out what class the Mandalorian is. And I think he's a tank, because in the hallway here, do you remember when they don't know what to do exactly, because they kind of seem like there's a lot of troopers there. Mm-hmm. And they got to get through this doorway quick. So with all the Beskar, with all the enhancements that he has, he makes his way through it by getting kind of pummeled with lasers, right?
Yeah.
Right here. And that's where I think they kind of showed that he's like the tank class, where some of these other people might be like different classes of like, warriors, like you saw in the previous episode, in the final episode, how one of these Mandalorians takes off in their jetpack, and then the other one kind of elbows the guy or something, so they develop this like propulsion, and then perform like an aerial move. And then there's different people like the Mandalorian, I think, which are like would be like considered a tank.
Yeah.
Would take the punishment for the team type of thing, because they could take it. And they also have like the best weapons. He's got like those weapons that can take out everybody from his wrist launcher. He's got kind of like that special gun that zaps huge creatures that attach themselves to the ship. He's got all the biggest weapons, all except for like he doesn't have one of those rockets on his jetpack. Let's see if Harris is back. Hey, Harris.
Hey, Is that better?
Beauty.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I had my headset on. I didn't hear it going off.
I know you never hear that thing because when we're in person and I say, "What's that beeping?" You say, "I don't hear no beeping."
Yeah.
And then we always kind of track it to your pocket or something.
Yeah. Well, what's up, guys?
Cones here were friendly enough once they got over the shock of my white skin.
Was that just Captain Kirk I saw?
Yeah.
Harris was over teaching me all about Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
He was telling me all the background info of the episodes and stuff. It was pretty cool. I got really into Star Trek this year, and I was watching like 3 different series. Like I was watching Enterprise, the original. I was watching Deep Space Nine with you, right, Harris? Like,
love it. Good stuff. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
Right. We're here to talk about the Mandalorian season 2. We're actually I got to slide up from episode 3, but Harris, feel free to talk about whatever episode you want to talk about. But I figured we would, since there's only eight episodes, we would get to episode 8 and talk about that finale.
The Mandalorian and a Jedi.
Okay.
What's that? Is that your Roku?
That's not me.
No, it's my saber. With the new Ahsoka Tano font from Repulse.
Oh wow. That sounds like it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love this font. This hum is amazing on this thing.
Did you program the color white, or like how did that become white? Okay.
Yeah, I went online. I figured out how to do it. Although it's not giving me, and I don't know anything about coding, so I just copied what I saw, what I was reading online, and I copied the numbers. But on camera, it looks white, but you can see off my hoodie here, it's like a little bit of
blue,
lime green to it, or minty color. I don't know if you can notice that.
I bet you as the battery drains, it'll change, because like white's like the hardest to do, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I got the numbers right. I was only copying the numbers I saw, but on camera it does look pure white compared to, or as opposed to any other color on camera. I noticed this looks so white on camera, but here's the white on my hoodie, and then you'll see like a minty color, minty green almost. See it reflect off. It could be a battery thing. It could be maybe I have a number or 2 off. I don't know. It's all about that coding stuff, and I don't.
That green looks like it could be reflecting off of Grogu's face.
Yeah, right.
Looks like it's reflecting on his face.
Like on the Ahsoka sabers in the show, they did look pure white, but when they turned on the dark saber, didn't you guys see? It's almost looked like a prismatic, like rainbowish white haze to it. I felt like it was kind of like in and out of different colors slightly, whereas like the Ahsoka saber certainly did look pure white, but the dark saber looked like it had a bunch of like flavor to it.
So I got a question for you guys.
This is your end.
What's that?
You should know who you're dealing with.
I got a question for you guys. We're talking about the whole spectrum of Mando, right? Not just the last episode, right?
Right.
Correct.
So, what did you guys think of the episode with Ahsoka Tano in it?
I liked it.
She's my favorite character. I don't know if I liked it. I don't know if I liked the way that Rosario Dawson portrayed the character.
Are you a fan of Rosario Dawson to start, or not really?
Well, I'm a fan of Ahsoka Tano, period. You know what I mean?
See, I'm kind of the opposite. Like I don't care that much about Ahsoka, but Rosario Dawson, I love every one of her movies. I really think she's incredible.
I'm not familiar.
And she made me she made me like Ahsoka because I thought she did that like a really incredible job of playing this, like what I guess it would be like a 40-year-old Ahsoka. And
yeah, I was gonna say a lot of people are used are used to the animated series where she was like a teen, then she was like a young kid, and she.
I think maybe that's it. Maybe that's what bugs me about it. I don't know. Maybe,
Yeah.
she
I think
was
we're talking
very,
like 25 or 30 years later than when the last time you would have seen Ahsoka.
I just thought that she portrayed the character very low key, almost. I mean, it was almost like I almost had trouble. I watched it like 3 times, and I had trouble watching the episode 3 times. I couldn't get through it. That kind of put me to sleep almost. I don't know if it was her portrayal of the character or what it was. I just couldn't get through it.
Yeah.
That was the one episode that bugged me, to be honest with you. I mean, everything else about the series I really liked.
How did you like the way Ahsoka was moving around with the lightsabers as far as the battle?
You know, like
did you have an
the
issue
battle
with
scenes,
that part or
even the battle scenes just kind of almost bored me a little bit. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, my goofy vision, I guess. I don't know. It just bored me the whole episode. I found like 5 minutes into it, I'm yawning on it. I couldn't get through it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I was thinking back after watching it. I think I watched it twice, and I was thinking back, trying to mentally compare her to the original Ahsoka, you know, on the Clone Wars and all that other stuff. But I kept attributing it to the fact that, like we just said, since she's older now, she's in her 40s, she's living in the woods somewhere, God knows where. She has a different, more maturity to her. She's not as agile as she used to be, you know, and so that's what I don't know. I kept an open mind about it and kept going back to that and thinking maybe that's why, because I understand and respect where you're coming from. I could appreciate that because I kind of expected it also before watching it. I totally expected it to be like that. Like, this is going to be crazy. We're going to see a lot of acrobatic stuff and things that she used to do. She was real badass, you know. But then after watching, I'm like, well, then again, she's older. She's in her 40s. You know, it's not the same. She hasn't been fighting a lot like she was. She's not a Jedi anymore. She's not in the temple training. She's just going with whatever she knew last. You know,
she left the Jedi Temple as a teenager.
Exactly. So she left.
She hasn't been a Jedi
completely
for a long
trained,
time.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah. So
I mean,
I don't
she's
know.
still badass.
Yeah,
I think she's like super badass because like in that cartoon with the in the Rebels cartoon where she had the fight with Vader, I honestly don't think like many, and I mean it's true, right? Not many people, like not many Jedi can survive an encounter with Vader, and she crawled away from that. I think there's not many people in the world like at the time of this Mandalorian episode, let's say that time frame where like you have Luke out there, you have Leia out there, and you have Ahsoka out there, but who else? Like I think Ahsoka would be like one of those top people as far as, you know, she could survive an attack by Vader. So did Luke. She's one of those top people because of that, I think, you know, so that was pretty impressive that like the Mandalorian survived her little attack.
You know, I would figure, you know, Vader or Anakin Solo trained her. So she it's like going back into the ring later with your trainer. I mean, she knows what to expect from him. I would figure. That's my thought.
Sure. But I think her versus anyone else would kind of be like almost like pitting Anakin against them, where it's like they don't really stand a chance. Got like Anakin's apprentice.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So that was.
But then again, I don't think we really saw her full potential. I don't think they wanted to reveal that just yet. This is about Din Djarin, you know, and the Mandalorian show. It's not her show yet. So they wanted to show her off a little bit, but maybe just kept her chilled for her own show later on. Maybe if she gets her own series as supposedly she's supposed to, we might get to see some badassery in action, you know.
And it was a good call to kind of put her in the fog the whole time and have her, you know, jump out of the fog and attack and back into the shadows and then attack, because it gives us more that we could see later.
Yeah.
All right, I'll buy that.
But when because Harris, that's why I asked you about the battle scenes versus, like, let's say the standing talking scenes, because the battle scenes, I guess were like amidst smoke and fog and stuff like that. To me, they look cool. They looked like Ahsoka to me. And when she stood still and spoke, and they did like a close up, and I saw her eyes, like. Maybe it's because I'm predisposed. Like I like Rosario Dawson. Every movie that she's in, I really like it. And I was so like, I actually can't think of anybody better to play her. But I wanted to hear your perspective on it because you're an Ahsoka fan, and I'm just.
I am a huge Ahsoka fan.
Yeah.
And I just thought that she didn't impress me. I don't think the actress impressed me portraying her in this portrayal.
Yeah. I think the young Ahsoka was more passionate, more heated. You know what I'm saying? When she got ticked off, she was ticked off, and beyond that, you could see it was like that teenage girl attitude type of thing,
Right.
And that's understandable. And I don't know. Again, I kept attributing it to the fact that she's not this teenage little kid anymore. She's 40-something years old, been living out there on her own. Stopped training years and years ago. She's just doing her own thing.
Yeah, but she's probably busy though. Don't you think she's busy, like doing a bunch of like fulcrum, like rebellion type, or maybe not anymore though, right? I don't know. She's doing something because she's after Thrawn, right?
Yeah.
She's
after Thrawn. Exactly right. She's looking for Thrawn. JJ Jeffers says Ahsoka was badass, but felt like a screen test in certain spots or in testing spots. Yeah, she would have destroyed that lady even with the Beskar staff. Maybe she was being held back. Yeah, I don't know. They're not stupid with what they're doing, man. Favreau and what's his name? They're doing a great job directing these episodes. I'm sure they got something planned, And again, this is the Mandalorian show, not the Ahsoka show. It's cool that they had her in the one episode, but maybe, like I said, maybe they just said at the beginning, like the opening scene was badass. She was just like all over the place, right, with the sabers,
right.
And then the rest of the episode, it's like here and there, it's touch and go. Like you get a teaser, then you get a little teaser, but I think it's all planned out, because she is going to get her own series, and this is about Din Djarin and Grogu, so. Grogu or whatever. So they're probably gonna, later on if she gets her own series, there'll be a lot more to see. Hopefully, there'll be a lot more to see in the coming days. Do
you guys think that in season 3, even though Grogu is off with Luke now, do you guys think that we're going to see some of him in season 3, or because we don't know yet? I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Some of Luke,
or is
you mean?
No, Grogu. Like, or is he just gone now?
I mean,
and, like, what is
I
Din
think
Djarin's purpose now? Like the creature, the baby's gone, right?
Yeah.
So
that kind of made the show. That was like the essence of the show.
Yeah. Like the relationship between the two of them, I thought was very heavily portrayed, and now he's gone. And what are we going to see now with the character? I mean, is he going to go back to? Is he going to be a bounty hunter again? I mean, are we going to see more of that? It kind of.
No, we're definitely going to see more of Grogu. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen right off the back. They gotta let it marinate a little bit. And
maybe it could kind of marinate off camera, and they come back in season 3 and say like 4 years later.
Yeah.
And then it's like, Mandalorian's doing something, and then we kind of get crossed over into whatever Grogu is doing.
Yeah.
At that point, because they say, or it's 10 years later. I mean, like with this guy being in the helmet most of the time, I think you could do that, especially since if they are gonna, actually utilize or aim toward episode 7, which they seem to be aiming toward. Then they have like 30 years to play with almost. So they could say 10 years later, and we're still like 20 years before episode 7. It's still okay. We're not anywhere close to that yet. So they could do something like that. Or maybe my idea when I first watched the final episode of this season was to think that they'll go through about 7 episodes next season with like an alternate, some kind of story that is pertaining to season 3. Maybe it's a Darksaber battle with Bo-Katan, or maybe it's some kind of clever thing regarding that. But it maybe in the 7th episode toward the end, there's some kind of crossover between like what Luke is doing, what Grogu's doing, and maybe he has to help them. I mean, wouldn't that be something if he could help Grogu again somehow? Maybe that would be because they need something from him around the time of like episode 8 next season. I could kind of see that happening.
Okay.
Well, they got plenty of time to write this stuff up, man. They got plenty of time to come up with ideas for the how he's going to be introduced.
Meg Tooth Saber says, I'm smoking ribs and listening to Space. Life is good. Thank you, buddy.
Nice.
Those ribs, this tastes good.
Yeah. What do you call? What's up, Mundo? Mundo was on. He's at work though, so he has to jet.
Yo,
Oh,
Mundo.
cool. Mundo.
All right, so while you guys brought it up, let's talk the Darksaber now.
Yeah.
So I something I didn't get was, and I haven't watched too much fan theory on it. Fan theory pisses me off because I start to believe it and then it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But aside from that, why couldn't she take the Darksaber from him?
Well, that was one of the things that they say was like a discrepancy between, and they got
Right.
Filoni on set or like in the writer's room. So why couldn't he correct somebody and say, listen, no, it's actually okay to pass
and
it
then
on to somebody?
on top of
who's
that,
done it before?
a second part to that is they didn't complete that story. Where did the saber go? When last we saw it, he was handing it to her. She wouldn't take it. Where did it go? So
I guess it's
they kind of left
part
that
of
open, I guess.
part of Din Djarin's arsenal now. I guess if she won't take it, it's gonna be on his belt now. Just
Do you
talking
think he's
about.
going to keep it?
I mean, I think he's like that. Those last couple lines in the final episode showed us that no one else was taking it. So I'm thinking,
Well, he's stuck with it now.
and he didn't drop it on the floor. He probably put it on his belt. And what I'm thinking is going to happen in regards to that is this is what I think is like the cleverest way that they could do this. Is that okay? You know how the ship keeps getting damaged and it was actually destroyed this season, right? The Razor Crest. So he always has problems with his ship. He always needs it repaired. People are always stealing it. Jawas are always coming up and stripping it. I mean, he's a real mess when it comes to keeping his stuff to himself, right? So I'm thinking, what if he's like, now that he's a little more comfortable taking his helmet off and maybe stuff like that, maybe he's taking a bath, maybe he's eating, maybe he's whatever. And just like in one of the old there was like an old Western, what is it? The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Isn't like Clint Eastwood is like taking a bath at one point, right? And like the bad guy comes in with a gun. So I wonder if the Mandalorian's like indisposed, he's doing something else, and he's got his armor off or whatever, and somebody takes all that stuff, right? So now they're wearing his armor, they've got his weapons, and that's the time that Bo-Katan attacks. And she sees this person, she thinks it's him. She's like she's in this mode of like she's gonna get it back. She's gonna challenge him or whatever. And they go through this whole thing where she defeats that person wearing the Boba Fett armor, or wearing the Mandalorian armor, carrying all the Mandalorian weapons. Actually defeats him, takes the Darksaber, and then returns the armor back to the original owner. And in that sense, it's like she did defeat the wielder of the Darksaber. She got it back, but she really didn't defeat Din Djarin. And he's happy for her to have the sword anyway. That would be the way I would do it.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to give it to her. She wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe instead of her actually battling Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, it's maybe somebody in the Mandalorian armor who she thinks is Din Djarin until she defeats him. So it's all very legit under the Mandalorian creed.
Yep.
And everybody's happy.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Everybody wins.
Gotcha.
Except for the guy Bo-Katan killed.
Repulse Custom Sound says they didn't know the spiders were there until it was too late. That's in regards to episode 2. Yeah, we didn't know that. But Baby Yoda was being such an asshole in that episode that it's like when he tried to eat the spider's eggs too.
Yeah, he was eating the eggs.
And then they attacked. He is so hungry, I guess. They haven't been feeding him properly. JJ Jeffer says, is Disney going to oversaturate the universe? Well, it does seem like that with all those shows announced. Thanks for being here. We're actually building a lightsaber for JJ right now. So thanks for being here, JJ. I do think that if all those shows get produced, they will be oversaturating, especially this timeline. They can expand the timeline to something either previous to the Skywalker time frame or post Skywalker. That's one thing I think they could end up doing with Grogu is saying that you could easily do that with him to say 200 years later, 300 years later, because he's long lived. So if you did that, if you came up with a show, let's say with Grogu, you might tell yourself, or you might put in the beginning of the episode, 350 years later. You might show a clip of him with the Mandalorian in this time frame, and then maybe it's a lead up, and then you say 400 years later. So you've taken away Luke, you've taken away Leia, you've taken away everybody that we know, and probably Chewie. Chewie's not there either because he might live 300 years. We're talking 400 years later. Baby Yoda would be 450, and we could go on from there in this future environment where maybe Baby Yoda or Grogu is some kind of Jedi Master, or maybe even the Grand Master himself, like a new Yoda. JJ says, episode 7 to 9, how will it stand in cinematic history? Well, I hope it dies. I hope it dies as time goes by. As the way I see it is, we just started kind of with the first part of erasing it by showing the true Luke, the one that we knew came after Return of the Jedi, not the bum who gave up and stuff like that. I think it's a very, very start of it. If it can happen where they could, kind of excuse those as far as being canon, I think that maybe we just started to see that, but only time will tell. I think time will have to go by where a year, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 years go by. We see some of these series come to light. Maybe we see the Obi-Wan series come out. We see a 4-episode Book of Boba Fett. We start to get more clues about Luke. It starts to seem a little different than the way the movies go. Maybe we're in year 5, 6, 7. Maybe there's a Luke series. They're already talking about it. Maybe that gets developed. Maybe there's a couple seasons of the Luke series that further diverge from what the movies that we got. That's a possibility. And then by that time, we're talking 7, 8, 9, 10 years after The Last Jedi, after Rise of Skywalker. And I think that people are going to start forgetting about those forgettable characters in those movies. But it's kind of only time will tell on that, and what people are in charge are going to do, I guess. Whether the way it's going so far, I think The Mandalorian is leading to episode 7, episode 8. But there's just this one clue in this final episode that we got that shows us the Luke that we knew, not the Jake Skywalker that appeared in The Last Jedi, as somebody who uses the Force too much and dies. I don't really think that's like in the books he could transfer his essence and his like almost like a hologram of himself, like he did in episode 8. He could do that in the books without killing himself. So I think that, you know, to die from a force overexertion is like a really lazy thing for them to do. That's not very exciting, you know. That's not going out in a blaze of glory. That's fading away, like what they showed. Let Favreau oversaturate then. That's what Meg Toot says. Yeah, you know, we're so happy with the way things turned out here that for the most part that we are happy to let them run shit, to let Favreau figure out what is best to do, you know. But it's like if they're going to take from the expanded universe, then they should just really take from it and not cherry pick this, and we'll add a little of our idea and then we'll put in a little of the book's idea, you know. That I think if you do it, you should just do it, you know. Stop mixing and matching. Oh, Meg Toot says, I think they are already wiping episode 8 and 9 already with Mandalorian. Yeah, like I definitely see signs of that, but you know, I also see signs of like them, like with the wanting the Baby Yoda blood and the trying to make a clone and what looked like in those test tubes, like something like a Snoke. You know, it looks like, and also trying to come up with, like, if you heard Moff Gideon say a couple times, like he actually said in one of the episodes, you know, it's not the Empire. We're trying to make something like better than the Empire. Or, you know, we're going to go to the next level, which I'm assuming he's alluding to the First Order, right, Harris? You know, he's probably talking about, like, you know, we're going to make something better than the Empire. It's like, I think you're talking about the First Order, you know. So in that sense, yeah, in that sense, it's like aligning with the movie. Still, they are still trying to say, like, look, you know, we're not just going to keep the Empire around, which, like, the books just dragged the Empire out until it was like 10, 12, 15 years later. The Empire actually came back to the Republic and joined the Republic in the books, and they used their ships to fight the Yuzong Bong aliens. They all, you know, banded together at one point to fight the common enemy. So I think that, you know, the way that they're going in this show is still saying, like, oh, we're going to make our First Order, which is movie only. You know, that type of thing's not really in the books. JJ says, agreed, Megtooth. Yeah, we agree too that that's happening a bit. Oh, JJ says, Harris, hello. And hey, buddy. Mundo says, really quick, chiming in, still at work. Yeah, I know Mundo works till like 10 o'clock, but Mundo's going to come on my next show at like 10:15 on Comic Book Creation Live channel. Hail Space, Gabe, and all there. Yeah, I think Gabe's internet must have cut out. Hope he comes back.
You lost Gabe?
I think we lost Gabe, yeah. He must have lost internet or maybe something with the computer. Thanks, Mundo. I will see you hopefully when you get home from work at like 10:15. Mundo says, hail Harris. You're really happy to have Harris here. JJ says, and now he has the Darksaber, so he can rule Mandalore. I think so. I think he's the best candidate for a Mandalore. Like, if you guys have played Knights of the Old Republic at all from like 2003, 2005 games, they had a Mandalorian partner, I guess you could say, to one of your characters. And I think, was he the Mandalore? It's been so many years since I played it. I think he's the Mandalore of an already scattered group of Mandalorians. It's just like we see in the show. But I think Din Djarin is more capable of bringing all the Mandalorians together, considering in those scenes that we see in episode 8, is it, of this new season, where, you know, the Mandalorian travels to the bar where Bo-Katan and her friend there are hanging out. Now, like what we were talking about before, Harris, I don't know where that dude went to. Remember, there was a trio. It was 2 girls and a dude, and now the dude just disappeared. I don't know where he went to.
Hang on, I lost my chat.
No worries. And I don't know where that guy went to, but we have Bo-Katan kind of just very, very focused on the Darksaber, really, really thinking she needs a Darksaber to start her work, right? To start rebuilding Mandalore. But in my opinion, the Mandalorian here is actually doing it already. He's not waiting for the Darksaber to make friends with other Mandalorians to get Mandalorian culture back going. He is doing that with Boba Fett, who Bo-Katan is clashing with, saying you're not a real Mandalorian. Whereas the Mandalorian himself is gathering all these people, whether they're wearing the armor and they're a Mandalorian or not. If they're good enough, if they have that, just like Boba Fett, I guess, is accepted by Din Djarin, and he's utilizing, his help, his weaponry in this quest to return Grogu to the Jedi. So I think that, the Mandalorian is already moving toward that goal of one Mandalore, and Bo-Katan is literally just still focused on that idea of I need the Darksaber first, and then I can work toward getting Mandalore together. Like Din Djarin's already doing that. So I think it kind of shows to all these different characters, like whether they realize it right now or not, that like Boba Fett or the Mandalorian's already doing this, like the good work of bringing Mandalore back, probably.
Gotcha.
Jake the Snake 1417 arrives. Sup, my dudes? What's going on, buddy? Thanks for being here. Meg Tootsis says, love Ahsoka's portrayal. It's an older Ahsoka. Keep that in mind. She's old. Yeah, and that's like that's like one of the things that I always loved about Rosario Dawson is that she always seems to be able to play younger. It kind of seemed to me that way in a lot of her movies that she was maybe playing someone her age or younger. She always appears younger though. Like she looks great she's maybe in 45 or something, 44. But for this role, I think that it was a perfect casting for her actually playing her own age finally, but she still looks like.
What has she been in before? I've never seen her.
So if you've seen the movie Alexander, that's about Alexander the Great. She's one of Alexander's last wives.
Okay.
She plays a Middle Eastern princess, and she's absolutely great in that. She's almost like she's like a sort. I wouldn't say a sorceress, but it's almost like the way they portray her. She's like and not evil so much, but it's a very interesting character that kind of comes into play at the end of the movie. She's also in what are some of the other ones I really like? There's a train movie where she's not the conductor, but she controls the like the routes or something. It's called Unstoppable, and you have Chris Pine in that one. He's like with I think it's Denzel Washington, maybe. He's like they're like trying to stop the train, like the runaway train. And Rosario Dawson's in charge of the train routes and like monitoring, derailments and the way the company's trains move around. And so since there's this issue with the runaway train, she's in the movie a lot from like the control room. That came out, I think, in like 2009, 2010.
I never saw that either.
Yeah, she's in a lot though, because she's been acting ever since like early 90s. So she's in a lot of different movies, and every so often when I come across a movie that she's in, I just end up like really loving the movie. I think she probably has a lot to do with it. I don't know.
Okay. Gabe just texted me. He said his computer's freezing up on him.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah. Hopefully I can make it back in somehow, maybe through his phone or something. Oh, Jake the Snake says, I didn't care too much for that Frog Lady episode. Yeah, and then when they dropped off Baby Yoda again at the Frog Lady, everyone was kind of nervous, right, for those like tadpoles that she was raising. But I think he had learned by that time, because they show him like staring at the tadpole, and I think he learned at that time, like, oh, they these are living creatures.
That whole episode, I thought she was going to like freak out and there was going to be a problem there, but she didn't even seem to realize that he was eating the eggs.
Right.
So, that was, I kind of thought they kind of could have done something with that, but but they didn't, you know?
Oh, JJ says Ahsoka was a badass, but it felt like a screen test in spot. So yeah, I think that's what Gabe quoted you before. Yeah,
I'll agree with that too. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
she would have destroyed that lady even with the Beskar staff. Yeah, maybe she was held back. Yeah, and then when the Darksaber was attacking the Beskar staff in the final episode, we actually see that. Now, pure Beskar is supposed to be totally resistant to the lightsaber cut, I thought, but it did look like that the
Turning
lightsaber,
red.
would
Turning
have,
into cherry red, like a red.
yeah, like it would have gone through if there was more time on it, right? Like more heat, more pressure. It looked like it was about to pop.
Yeah.
What was the lightsaber ignition where it looked like she separated the combined beams? Oh, I don't remember that part. Let me see here.
So, Ann, let me ask you a question. I don't know how far you've gotten. I haven't seen you in about a month or so, a month and a half or two. Have you started working on the Solo Hole Saber, the Darksaber?
No, not yet. Because I
haven't worked on it.
I left my house on the 12th.
Oh, that's right. You've been away. Are you home now or no?
No, so I'm actually at my parents' house down
you're
in
in
Florida.
Florida.
I won't be home for another couple weeks, and
Okay. So
that's why I don't have a working camera on this computer, so that's why you don't see me.
I got you. How close do you think the representation was of the Solo's Hold Saber to what we saw on screen of the Darksaber? I couldn't get a good look at it.
They totally changed it because what happened was I was on my way down to Florida. We watched the Mandalorian finale in an Airbnb TV, and it was awesome. You know, it was a lot of fun, and I saw it what I thought was very clearly. But then when I got to my father's house, and he's got this big TV, it's very clear. It's like a new TV. It's very clear. So we rewatched the episode.
Okay, I couldn't get a good image of it.
Yeah, and I saw it really, really well. But you know what? They changed it from the Rebel design that the Solo's Hold is based on. So Solo's Hold is based on the design out of the Rebel show, and it's very squared off because of the Rebels like design style of the way that they do the cartoon.
Yeah, it's squared. Is it kind of oval? Because I've seen a couple representations online of like a more oval look to it.
Yeah, like everything on it seems like
rounded off.
It's rounded now, and the paint is like a coated black paint rather than this
and the metal
wiped
look
off metal. Like it was a dirty look in the Rebels cartoon and very squared off. And then when you see the shape of it in this show, it is rounded. Even that guard is rounded at the top.
Yeah.
It looks cool, like a ninja, almost like an advanced ninja weapon.
Right.
In this new show, I think it looks great. But I also love the Solo's Hold variant. You know
I mean, as soon as I saw that saber, I fell in love with it. You know.
Yeah.
It's beautiful hilt. Beautiful hilt. Beautiful work by Solo's Hold. You know. So
I can't wait to do that. And I think the reason why I brought up before, like the prismatic color
I'm losing
effect,
you. Can you hear me? Your sound's cutting out.
I can hear you fine.
Can
you hear me? Can you hear me?
No, I'm losing you.
Okay. Let me know in the chat if I'm breaking up. I could hear how it's fine.
Yeah, it sounds like it's breaking up.
The Darksaber itself, in the show, how it looks kind of RGB, like it looks like it's created by a little prismatic rainbow aura to my eye around the white, around the dark part of the saber, around the white, especially when they turn it on and off. And I feel like that's going to work really, really well to our favor, because using the RGB NeoPixel system and trying to create the white, we are going to get, like Gabe was describing before on his saber he was showing on the show. He had a Ahsoka white, but he said it looked bluish to him, or it looked greenish to him.
Yeah, it had like a mint green aura to it.
Yeah, and then Harris, when the battery starts running down and you're using like white
Changes.
pixel, it'll look like pinkish.
Yeah,
So I
changes.
think throughout that whole range, it'll actually play to our favor when we make that dark saber, because it's gonna like turn on and look kind of white, but also be like flickering a little bit of the rate of the RGB spectrum. I think that's gonna really work out for us for that.
Okay. I'm looking forward to seeing that put together.
Mundo says she probably kept up with some of her training. Yeah, I think she's been busy. Talking about Ahsoka, I think she's been busy helping the rebels, or the New Republic, I guess. Like, right, or is she just on this quest of, I don't know. Like, if she's after Grand Admiral Thrawn, I wonder if the New Republic knows about that in this timeline, or what. I'm not sure. Wonder if she's like doing missions for Luke. Sure, that would be interesting.
I
let me give Martin the link here.
I'm sitting in front of my computer, but I'm online with you on my cell phone, and I just brought up the live chat on the computer, and I just saw the screen you have up. It's funny. I didn't, I couldn't read it on the phone. It's so small. It's funny. I like doing this. I've never done this before while we're on. I'm able to follow along on the live chat as well.
So I'm going to give the link to Martin here. If anybody wants to come in, can use this link. Let's see if this works. Yeah, so Megtooth agrees. He says the Darksaber has to be won in a battle. That seems very Mandalorian, and Din has it now. Yeah, so I think that that's a foreshadowing as well. That's showing you that he really, it's just another reason that he is going to be the Mandalorian. I think that's why we're following him as the Mandalorian. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of people at first thought that they were ending the Din Djarin storyline going, because of that after credit thing that they had on where they were showing about Boba Fett. I got a question. I want to see what people think. What was the deal with the Boba Fett armor? How it was all crapped up looking, and then all of a sudden it's nice and pristine looking again. What do you guys think of that?
I heard he like resprayed it. That was like one of the podcasts I was listening to thought that he resprayed it in between there, so he got his armor back, and then I guess he took some time to kind of make it fit better, because you remember he looked a little goofy in it in that one episode where he first got it.
Yeah, it was all crapped up looking. It was more silver than it had the color to it.
And then it kind of seemed to like fit better and like look better and just be overall, like you said, it looked like he did like a matte paint job to a lot of it, and maybe almost like a new paint job. So I did see that, although he didn't fix the dent. Like the dent was still in the helmet.
Right.
Like, do you think all those other people, like the trio, which we only saw Bo-Katan and her other friend in this final episode, and also Boba Fett's armor, is that all Beskar?
I don't know. I mean, well, keep in mind when we first started watching The Mandalorian, the armor that he wore in the first few episodes was not Beskar. He upgraded to Beskar. Right. So I don't know. You're talking like Bo-Katan is her armor Beskar. I don't know. I never noticed that I heard anything mentioned about it. Same
here. Like I kind of feel like they're thinking that we know, but we don't know. Like I'm of the mind to say that it's so precious and it's so expensive that only the Mandalorian has it. Only Din Djarin has it. But
he was lucky enough to get it. I mean, keep in mind, the I mean, really through the whole series so far. I was going to say through the first season, but money has never been an issue for him. He had plenty of money. He was traveling the world as a bounty hunter. Everywhere he went, he was glad to pay people for their services. So, and then lo and behold, he gets this huge amount of Beskar and creates the armor, So I found that interesting that was the case where he, maybe he is the only one that has that quality Beskar armor, or so we've seen so far.
Yeah, unless the other people have like just simply painted theirs, and that's why it doesn't look the same. But for his, it's like I even feel like his backpack, his jetpack, must be made of Beskar as well, because it's that same tint, is that same shininess.
Refresh me. When did he get he got the backpack from somebody else, didn't he? Who gave him the backpack?
He got it from the armor. It was like it's called the Rising Phoenix power, or sect of Mandalorians, where if you learn this certain skill, I guess, of being able to pilot those jetpacks, and then you're good to go. And she asked him, like, did you train in the Rising Phoenix maneuver, or however she says it? And he goes, yes, I did. And then so she realizes that I guess she has this on hand for him, or she made it out of some of the Beskar, because you remember he kind of gave her more Beskar than.
Yeah, he had extra. He made the whistling birds or something.
Yeah,
and that's something we've seen him use a few times. But I remember her saying that I
thought it was super rare.
He could only use it one time or something like that.
Right.
I'm looking at the
multiple versions.
I'm reading the comments, and Daniel M. He had no problem with the Boba touching up the paint job. Made sense that he would care for his father's armor after regaining it. So I'm unsure. Is Boba's armor actually what Jango Fett's armor? It is the same armor that he kept and redid it?
Yeah.
Okay, I never realized that. I always thought it was separate. It was like that Jango Fett had his set and Boba had his. And how did he get it? Like when Jango Fett died, Mace killed him in that arena scene. I mean, what did he just go out and take the head out and kept the helmet kind of thing?
Well, you see him like gripping the helmet. So I guess what we're supposed to believe is that he dragged the body away and got it and then repainted it. Because I thought like you did, where I thought it was like, okay, Jango Fett had a certain armor.
Yeah, so I didn't realize until now that it's actually I didn't realize that it's the same armor. And Daniel wrote, Bo-Katan is a princess. Royalty has access. Yeah, I could see that. She has the best. She's able to get the Beskar.
Okay.
And took Gideon's Beskar, panic-induced rapid taps in the rescue. I got you. Okay. So she would have access to it, to Beskar.
Meg Toothsit says, I think Kylo Ren could have been one heck of a character, but they hosed his character like they hosed Luke. Yeah, they broke him down, I think, to be less than. Like, he never was a threat to Rey, where she kind of handily beat him every single time they fought. So there wasn't too much of a threat, or the audience believing that that Kylo was like a force to be reckoned with. Where at one point they should have had him, really take it to them, maybe a bunch of people at once, so that we could have been like, whoa, maybe that would have been something.
I for one, I mean, I don't think it's ever going to happen, but I for one, I've heard people say it. I don't think it's going to happen. I hope they wipe out that whole last trilogy, like they did with the original books and stuff like that before Disney came in. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's just, I don't know. The Kylo Ren character didn't do it for me. The whole Rey character just didn't do it for me. I would have liked to have seen
of the Kylo, like before the movie came out and the trailer. It was incredible. And I even got the poster. Like it looked great. And then when we saw the movie, it wasn't like that threat of him being this Jedi killer, which is like what they put in the concept art as his lightsaber and his group of his group of what were they called that we almost never see until the very, very end?
The Knights of Ren.
Yeah, like they talk them up a little bit more than we actually got in the films. Like they weren't a threat either. So then at the end, when you see them taking them out, it wasn't like we saw their devastation too much either. It was just you know. Those characters should have been maybe more of a threat to the heroes and then be taken out by Kylo or something to redeem himself. Mando is going to explain away the gaps for sure. It's a retcon, not a wipe, says Daniel M. What does he say here? Oops, I think I had the wrong button. Bo-Katan seems to have lost or failed to keep the respect of the remaining tribes. Whether that was from losing the Darksaber to Gideon or prior to that, who knows? Yeah, because Bo-Katan is supposed to be, I think she's supposed to be 45 years old. So there's a lot that happened that we hadn't seen. And the reason why if you take the people that she's been hanging out with just in The Mandalorian, she was hanging out with 2 other people, and then a couple days later, she's only got 1 of those people left. So if we just take the people, that we've seen, she's like cut her party in half just in a couple days. So this was a great one. Episode 4 was pretty cool because we get to see the Mandalorian use his jetpack when he flies up to the Imperial base to throw some stormtroopers off of it, and then we get to see that pretty cool chase at the end.
Yeah.
And this was an episode that Carl Weathers directed, I believe. I was real happy with this one. I like that part where the Mandalorian quickly realizes that Grogu could be in danger, and he flies off to protect him, leaving the other characters to escape the Imperial base on their own.
Right. This was also the episode with the mix-up, the screw-up, where the guy was in the background in plain clothes.
Right, but they had since fixed it, I believe, in re-upload.
Oh, really? I didn't know
episode,
they fixed it and re-put it up.
Right, like you have
I didn't know that.
Photo you captured, you wouldn't be able to capture it now. I believe.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So I want to ask you something about the last episode. I had kind of a couple ideas about how it could be, how it could have went differently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the still shots I have here from episode 5. And I do want to get to the Luke part because I've got a question for you guys watching. Maybe we could all answer what we think about that. Okay, so here's a good shot of Ahsoka. So to you, that doesn't look like her. To you, as a big fan of Ahsoka, for me, I just like the actress, so I think that works.
I don't think she looks like the character. I really don't. I don't think she embodies the character. She looks like a chick that they scrapped that headpiece on and said, "Okay, go be her." Looks like a Halloween costume to me.
Oh, here's that fight between these two and the staff. Now, does it turn red at all when Ahsoka's attacking it? I don't think it does. Maybe she doesn't keep her sword on it. Yeah, maybe she doesn't keep her sword on it as much.
Yeah, it seemed like when it did turn red, it was, the two were making contact for an extended period of time. Oh, there you go. There's a shot.
It also looked like when he was fighting Gideon, that Gideon wasn't necessarily trained like a Jedi. He was using that
right
in a different manner, right? Like he wasn't using it like a trained swordsman. Really, he was kind of like baseball batting Din Djarin with it.
Yeah, like an unprofessional baseball player would use a bat. I get you.
Yeah, Daniel M says the Solos hold and the screensavers are 2 totally different designs. Yeah, like the one in this show is like painted different and it looks different. Daniel says the screen dark saber had rounded edges. Yeah, that's what I noticed too on my clear.
Yeah, if you look down on it, it's oval like. It's got an oval to it.
Yeah, and
Not
to me,
squared off.
like that's the style of the 3D way that they did the Rebels cartoon or the Clone Wars cartoon, excuse me.
Right.
That everyone's chin was kind of squared off, and it was just this like the style of that
The artwork.
that show.
Yeah, the style and the artwork.
And Daniel says it looked obsidian color to me in the low spots.
And Daniel says I'm reading, he likes Rosario as Ahsoka.
Yeah, he says in The Force Awakens, Kylo was so promising. It's a shame. I doubt they would wipe it out, the sequel trilogy. Yeah, like, at this point in time,
No,
it's
I don't think they will.
It's not probably thought of, but I just feel like as time goes by, they will be kind of more and more distant and possibly more forgotten, like as more content comes out that takes place, especially in this time frame that they've been playing in,
right,
around Return of the Jedi and after.
Yeah,
that spanning all those years, I think that things will start to possibly change.
How long, your opinion, how long after Return of the Jedi is The Mandalorian? 10 years after?
It's 5 years after.
5 years after, okay.
Yeah, Megtooth, you hit it right on the head. Kylo should have been developed. His costume and saber were scary, and they squandered it. Yeah, it's like what a promising character in that, in the concept art, even in the trailer. That was like the main part of the trailer. I don't know if you guys went to see a movie where that was in 3D, and then you got to see like the Episode 7 trailer during that movie. I forget what I was watching, but before it, they had a 3D Episode 7 trailer. And when it was like the teaser trailer, I think, or the main trailer where it's like snowing, it's on Starkiller Base, and Kylo walks up and ignites his special lightsaber. And that was so epic. Everybody was floored with that. And they didn't really take it to a place where I think that the character to me looked like he was 30 years old. I think the actor was probably somewhere in that range.
Okay.
But the way that they portrayed that character, I did not feel like he embodied like a 30-year-old. He to me seemed like he was whiny. He was more like a 20-year-old. Whereas as a 30-year-old,
I didn't find the whiny to be a big issue. I saw a lot of people say that. The whininess didn't bug me. I don't know. Just what I thought. Daniel writes, what do you guys think about Sebastian Stan being casted as Luke? I do think he embodies a little bit of the look of the character. I don't know. I watch Solo, and I just don't think that guy's Han Solo.
Right. Well, if you've seen the back-to-back pictures, like on Instagram and stuff, of Sebastian Stan and Luke,
yeah, he looks like him. He looks like him,
like the bone structure and stuff.
He favors him. But I don't know. I almost think they can do it with the CGI. I almost think I'd rather see the CGI if you're gonna keep Luke in the story. Keep it Mark Hamill. Keep it an image of Mark Hamill.
A lot of people thought that this one looked strange. I watched it twice on the TV at my dad's. That's like a better TV.
Yeah, you could definitely tell it was CGI.
Yeah, it looked strange on both.
But keep in mind that's also budget constraint between TV and what they would spend to do a movie too. I would think they're not going to spend as much money to overproduce the CGI as they would if they were making a feature film, so to speak.
True. It did seem kind of like a 5 or 10 year ago technology. It really didn't seem like, even some TV shows I watched,
Yeah, they could have done better.
is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like as far as tying the actors to the characters, I'm not a big fan of holding to that. I think that we should be like a little freer in our perspective, I guess, or like a accepting of like, let's say there's Princess Leia actress passed away. I think that we could get another actress in there, and we should accept that, and it's not tying Carrie Fisher to Princess Leia, at least not in my mind. Like I think
You're okay with that.
I'm okay with that. And I think, if they need a younger Luke and they brought in someone who doesn't even look as much like Luke as Sebastian Stan, I think it would still be okay. I think we're gonna have to. It's a fantasy, and to let someone else play the character. Like Superman. Like you accept when a new Superman is playing the character because.
I got you. Okay.
Maybe we get a different perspective of a Batman, a different guy playing Batman or something like that. I think it's one of those in my mind.
I have a question for you, Ant. Have you seen any of the videos? I've seen a lot on Facebook where people they're showing images of people watching the scene where the big reveal with Luke,
right?
And people are crying. I mean, I'm a huge Star Wars fan to the tune that I build lightsabers, and I do, these podcasts with you. So I mean, am I a super fan? I didn't cry. I didn't even feel I don't know. Maybe I'm tainted.
I stood up, but I'm thinking, don't you think that some of those crying people were the same people crying at episode 7 and episode 8? And,
could be.
And that, I mean,
yeah.
If you're gonna, I don't know, maybe there's some kind of emotional problem there because it's not succinct, like with where both those stories went to wasn't the same place. So
right.
It's either one or the other. If you're crying at episode 8, then I don't know why.
I mean, let's face facts.
Or vice versa.
I mean, as soon as I saw the X-wing pull up through the window, I knew it was Red 5, right? You knew, right. Just like the Batmobile's coming down the street. I knew it was Red 5. I mean, yeah, there's a chance that somebody else had Red 5, but Red 5 is Red 5, man. That was the X-wing. How about what did you think about? I don't know. I'm kind of, maybe I'm taking the naysayer kind of standpoint tonight because I kind of seem to be knocking a lot of it, but I also don't think that they needed to put R2-D2 in there.
I kind of disagree there because I think R2 got the shaft in the new movies. He was disregarded in those sequel movies. So
well, he was disregarded because he was taking second seat to BB-8, I think. But I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying. You were glad to see R2-D2.
Yeah.
I mean, I was happy to see him too. I wasn't standing up cheering, But yeah, I mean, I was happy to see him too.
I got up for that one. I got up.
You stood
up.
Pulled you out of your seat?
One of the things that I was considering was just like alternate ideas for that, and I want to hear what you think about some of them. Because I have basically two alternate ideas. So let me just see here what this was about. Yeah. So then we get a couple episodes here with Bill Burr, where they rescue Bill Burr so that they could get into the Imperial base.
Yeah, I liked him. I liked his character. I liked him. I liked that they elaborated on him a little bit. I'd like to see more of him. I thought he was a great character.
It's like in season 1, I wasn't too happy with the episode that they had Bill Burr in because I felt like at the end of that one where it was like that prison break.
Yeah.
And at the end of that one where they all double crossed Din Djarin.
Yeah.
And they push him into the cell. And then at the end of that episode where he gets out of the cell and they make like he's attacking one by one that crew, he doesn't kill them. And I thought at the time, I'm like, they deserve to die, you know, like after that double cross. But I kind of get it now that, you know, he needed to go back, especially to Bill Burr, and, you know, utilize his skills for this moment here. So I guess it's good that he didn't, you know, lay waste to those people. But I thought they deserved to die at the time. You know, I thought
Okay. I kind of liked you know, the scene where he says, I didn't see your face. You know, like he obviously saw his face, but I kind of like that. You know what I mean? I like the camaraderie there, where
Right.
he's like, look, I'm your boy now. We're partners, and I'm with you. You know, I didn't see your face. You know, obviously he saw his face. You know.
Now, in regards to which Jedi comes, and we know it's Luke, but what do you think? Just try to imagine it a couple different ways. So my opinion here is that we needed to have it be Luke, because of the sequel movies. So the sequel movies destroyed Luke, and I think that
You think they did it to redeem him, to redeem the character?
somewhat to also to like to show who he really is, because the sequel movies like changed the character and showed that he was some kind of bum, and, you know, he gave up and all this stuff. At least we could see some of the glory, and I think that that's why the scene there became what seemed to me, it became like an extended scene of this lightsaber and droid destruction.
Well, let me touch on that real quick. Have you seen the side to side imagery of Vader at the end? What was the end of was it Solo, where he goes off on all the rebels?
Revenge of the Sith, right? Oh, no, you're talking about the Rogue One scene?
Yeah, it was a Rogue One, the end, where Vader comes on the ship and he's taking out all the rebels to get the disc.
Right.
Was that scene? And then they showed Luke side to side, where, you know, Vader's taking out the rebels and Luke is taking out the Death Troopers. I kind of liked that. I liked how they showed, you know, what Vader could do at that point, because, you know, Vader, I mean, not that Vader was ever in his prime, but Vader was kicking ass there, you know, and they showed that, you know, that Luke could really kick ass too. You know what I mean? I like that. That I did like.
Looked to me like it said in the action of the fighting, like, this is Vader's son. Like, you ain't messing around.
Yes.
And it was apparent to me what you said. It was also apparent to me in the first watch that, like, it was similar to the Revenge of the Sith scene as well, where he's attacking the people on Mustafar.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in Revenge of the Sith, in the very beginning, where him and Obi-Wan are traveling up and down the elevator to rescue the Emperor, and I felt like that was, you know, that harkened to this scene here as well, where Luke came up to through the elevator and attacked the droids in the same manner. Now, even though they were droids, these Dark Trooper droids were far more, you know, scary than the battle droids. I think that they cut through them the same way that his father did and Obi-Wan did, like butter.
Agreed.
That was nice to see. That even though these are like, you know, made to the specifications of how many, like 30 years later, right? Like the best battle droids the Empire can make, and still they're just like butter to one of these guys.
Yeah, and that, I mean, if you look at the style that Luke and Vader used in those scenes compared to what you know, Gideon did with the saber against Din Djarin, who didn't even have a saber, he just had that spear. Night and day. You could tell the you know, the quality, the quality of the skill of what they did. You know, it was just that really blew me away. That I liked.
Now, how would it have hit you? Well, first of all, Bert is here. Bert Rutan, what's going on, buddy? He says, "Yo, what's up? Luke rules." Yeah,
he does rule. I love Luke. Luke's the man.
From the scene, right? And from everything we saw in Return of the Jedi, we knew exactly that he was like this, that he became like this. So it was really, really nice to actually see that. And I'm also glad they didn't turn it into some kind of like a Matrix looking scene where it was all sped up or it was all slowed down, or this was very graceful the way it was done, you know, and it was
to me, that scene was the best part of the whole episode, I thought.
Yeah.
That scene really stood out to me, you know, and I don't know, maybe I'm a naysayer, you know. Sometimes I like to look at things full. Sometimes I look at the glass half empty. And I definitely thought that scene was the definite winner for me was that scene, you know?
Yeah. Now, imagine that we got different movies for the sequel trilogy that showed Luke this way, right? That showed Luke as the Jedi Master, the Grand Master, the hero, and he was maybe training other Jedi. Maybe there's a group of Jedi. Now, whether or not they were killed by a Kylo Ren or whatever later on, at this point, 5 years later, after Return of the Jedi, at the time this episode takes place here in The Mandalorian, potentially maybe Grogu is not going to be his first student, right? Maybe he has a couple other people, who knows? Like, we don't really know anything, what he's been doing for the 5 years. Maybe he's training Princess Leia, like in Rise of Skywalker showed us.
Right. We saw that scene. Yeah.
Right. So something in that regard of that type of future of how we think Luke maybe would have been. Now imagine that future and what I'm about to tell you about an alternate scene here. So imagine a ship flies in and it's not Luke, it's Leia, for instance, right? With the blue lightsaber. Maybe she doesn't have as an easy time with the battle droids, but maybe it's almost as easy. I mean, granted, she's the twin, right? So by this time, 5 years of training with Luke could have made her this good, right? She's the daughter of Darth Vader. She's got the same midichlorians as Luke, right? She's the twin, so she could have done this too. Now, an alternate dialogue, I think, that could have happened at the end of an episode where this was Leia. Maybe, Din Djarin says, are you a Jedi? She says, yes, I am. And maybe he says, what are you going to do with Grogu? Are you going to train him? Or however question he puts to her, maybe she could titillate the audience by saying, I don't know, but my brother would.
She's
something like that, and maybe turn her back with the baby in arms.
She was always kind of the student to begin with, so obviously, I don't think that she would be training him. I think it would be Luke. But on that note, Ant, let me throw another monkey wrench into what you were just saying. What if it wasn't Luke? What if it wasn't Leia? I've seen a few people say it should have been. Big fanfare. You ready? SpaceWindu. What do you think of that?
Well, I'm not like a fan of those people falling out of windows or falling down big gaps and stuff and coming back alive like they did.
Listen, but wait, hold on. Let me stop you there. It's what they've done through the whole series. Maul was cut in half, fell down the shaft. They brought him back, right?
Well,
Maul was literally cut in half, and they brought him back.
That's not something I agreed with, though. And then I especially don't agree with the Palpatine coming back for Episode 9, because I think that destroys the Darth Vader, everything about Darth Vader. It really ruins Darth Vader bad. It takes away I think it kind of takes away the chosen one.
I see your point on that. Yeah, I see your point on that.
Stuff. So, I mean, alternately, my question to you in regards to a second variation of, it would actually be a third variation. So if we have this Luke episode like we got, and then the second variation would be like, what if it was Leia? Along the same lines of what you're asking, what if it was a different type of Jedi? My idea to introduce new characters here could have been done here. For instance, what if a ship comes in, right? On camera, through baby Groku's view screen, through the view screen on the bridge, and what those characters are watching, like the Mandalorian and Bo-Katan and all those people on the bridge, are watching. Instead of just one Jedi, they see maybe 3 people with their hoods up, right? Maybe one of them's an alien. Maybe there's two humanoid type of characters, right? And maybe one of them's got a purple lightsaber, one of them's got a yellow, maybe one of them's got a green or whatever. And they are similarly, like Luke was, cutting through these battle droids, right?
Okay.
And then at the climax there, when they approach Din Djarin after destroying all the Dark Trooper battle droids, they take off their hoods, and maybe one of them's an alien. All 3 people we've never seen before, right?
All new characters.
Yeah, all new characters. One of them's got a gold lightsaber. People are freaking out. One of them's got a purple. People are freaking out. Like, oh my God, these are new Jedi. And then all of a sudden, we have 3 new people to want to follow, to want to they're serious about.
I just don't think it would have had the wow factor that it wasn't Luke or
Right.
some other character, Luke, Leia, Windu, some character that we already have a lot of vested interest in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes, it could have been done that way, definitely. But I think that they needed to end that season 2. They needed a wow factor, so it needed to be a well-known, bigger character. Christ, it could have been C-3PO, right?
Right.
Well, C-3PO came out and took the robe off, and and there he is standing there.
The essence of his maker.
Yeah.
Daniel M says, I teared up like a little boy. I'll admit it.
I didn't tear up. A lot of people are saying that. Yeah. It's cool that you admit it, and it's cool that you did. It just didn't hit me like that. I got the wow factor,
Totally.
Listen, I've said this before on here. I'm not a sports guy, but for me, that's like, my team winning the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Also, to see this saber again. I mean, we're such big saber fans. To see.
Yeah. Oh well, we saw. I mean, before he even pulled the robe off, we saw in the backswing, we saw that it was the Luke 6 episode 6 saber.
Yeah. Bert says, I heard there will be a director's cut that will fix the CGI. I've seen better YouTube deepfakes. Yeah, so just like they fixed that one part that Harris was talking about before, where there was like a someone in their like blue jeans in the back of one of the shots.
One of the crew members.
And they re-uploaded a new version. I could see that happening. To me, like I'm that type when I was talking about the different actors before playing Luke, that I'd be okay with different actors playing Luke, different actors playing Han, different actor playing Leia. I was fine with this video game looking Luke just because I was super happy with the action, super happy with the placement of this character, super happy with the scenario and the fact.
I would definitely like to see the director's cut. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I mean, look, isn't that what Lucas did? He, all through the years, he keeps going back and keeps adding scenes and, correcting stuff. I'm laughing here. Daniel wrote, Bill Barr TPS reports, laughing my F. Yeah, that was funny. I don't know if anybody got that. That was a throwback to the movie Office Space.
Right.
Great movie. One of the ones that I love. That was the one with the red staple gun, the swing line stapler. I forget the guy's name, the character, the wacky dude.
I got that for like everybody as a gift in my office one year for Christmas.
Oh yeah, the red stapler.
I gave them the DVD.
Oh, the movie.
If anybody didn't see that.
Great movie.
Daniel M says R2 finally got some respect.
Yeah, he got some respect.
Happy to see.
I'll give him that.
And maybe Groku recognized him from years ago, maybe being at the Jedi Temple or something like that. Maybe he recognized R2. He seemed to go up to him and see something in him, or at least make friends with him. Seeing Luke finally using his full Jedi powers, I lost it. Meg2 says, Saber says. I hear you. I hear you. Like I stood up. I was super excited. There wasn't enough time to get my lightsaber out, although I did have it. I had it nearby. I didn't.
Wait, you took a saber to Florida with you?
I did. And you
Good
know
man,
what?
I'm proud of you.
I got some cool video. Like my dad has one of those drones that he could fly up and control.
Overhead.
and he did like a little loop around me last night while I was on the beach. And
Nice, awesome.
I'll
I want to
post
see
it
that. I want to see that footage.
Yeah.
Very cool.
They could have done that in episode 8 and 9 with Luke. Yeah, I actually thought Luke was going to come in on episode 7, Tom. I thought Luke was going to jump in. Do you remember when like Finn got hit with the lightsaber and he got knocked out, and then Rey got thrown against the tree and Kylo seemed to be kicking their ass, and I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen here? I thought Luke was going to jump out, and I thought we were going to see the face-off happen right then and there. Maybe the start of something, maybe some emotional conversation between the uncle and the nephew, and then it didn't happen. And then when they threw the saber over the shoulder, that was kind of it for me. I was like, oh,
we've talked about that.
That's very disrespectful.
That just burns me like no other, man. That scene where he throws the saber over the almost every saber talk that comes up. That's how much that hurt me. That hurt, man. That hurt me.
Daniel says he saw Anakin's son, not Vader's. Well, you see, the reason why I thought it was like when I saw him do, it was like like when I saw Luke make a wreck of these droids. To me, it was like that scene of Anakin on Mustafar. But by that time, Anakin was turned into Darth Vader. Now he was still using a blue lightsaber, but he was turned into Darth Vader already. I just saw Luke doing those same moves, but in a calmer way. Like he wasn't like, remember how Anakin kind of
controlled. He was more controlled.
Like when Anakin turned around, he had like a red eye or he had like a yellow eye.
Yeah.
It was like, oh no. Whereas like in this scene, you could see that it was more done just for the purpose of, he didn't take any enjoyment in this. He was just destroying these droids, just so he could get to just so he could help out, this group of people to do what he had to do. There was nothing else in it besides besides the grace of just this destruction of these enemies.
Right.
I felt like they pulled from Clone Wars and Return of the Jedi when you watch how Luke is cutting away, sidestepping, dodging, etc. It seemed like Anakin more to me.
I agree with that.
Bert says, I had mine. It just happened to be green. You're in Florida where I live in Tampa. Oh, I'm actually going close to Tampa. I'll be going to my sister's house tomorrow, which is like an hour away from Tampa on the West Coast.
My best friend just moved to Tampa.
Coast. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna be down there maybe after the first of the year. We're talking about going down. I go to Florida a lot too, man.
Yes, this is a good point that Megtooth makes. Not to mention Mando taking off his helmet for Grogu so he could look on him with his own eyes. Very Return of the Jedi-ish. Like when Darth Vader looked upon Luke with his own eyes, Luke had to take his helmet off for him.
Agreed.
Bert says, I had my lightsaber, just happened to be on green. Oh yeah, I read that one already. Okay.
Hey, Ann, it's getting close to my bedtime, buddy.
All right, we're gonna wrap this one up. I think we basically said everything we wanted to say about this.
Let me finish. I'll give you my closing arguments.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was fun. It was Star Wars. It was better Star Wars than the last 3 movies that we got. I don't know if you've seen the meme of JJ and then Jon Favreau on the bottom, and JJ saying, oh, we couldn't do it all with the fan service and give the new characters. And then Jon Favreau says, hold my beer.
Hold my green milk, right? Didn't he say that?
Hold my beer, he said. Yeah, I mean, I liked it. Was it perfect? No. I mean, can we sit here and pick apart everything Star Wars? Absolutely. I liked it. It was fun. There were good points. There were bad points. Will I continue to watch? Abso-flippin'-lutely. And we'll go from there. I'd like to see more of Din Djarin. We're obviously going to see more of Boba Fett. We're going to see more of Ahsoka Tano. We're going to see more Obi-Wan. Let's see where it all goes. I think it's going to be a fun ride.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do.
And through it all, hopefully, COVID will fade and civilized sabers will start bringing you the best sabers in the entire planet.
Right. Speaking of Civilized Sabers, go subscribe over to our Civilized Sabers YouTube channel. If you join us, when I get back to New Jersey in early January, we're going to do a show live from Civilized Sabers YouTube channel where if you make a comment on Gabe's video that he made the other day in regards to our giveaway, you'll be entered into the giveaway for a top prize is a TriStar NeoPixel blade, and the second prize is a Photonic Dual Star, and third prize is 4 Civilized Sabers pixel plugs. So go check out Civilized Sabers, subscribe over there. You have to be subscribed to win the first, second, or third prize, and you just have to comment on that video, and Harris will all do that show live from the Civilized Sabers YouTube channel after. Probably we'll do a show at to test, because our channel over there is kind of new. I don't think we did a live stream from there yet, so we'll probably do a live stream just to test, and then we'll do the drawing shortly after that. So make sure you're subscribed over there for that custom lightsaber stuff. And what else was I going to tell you about?
Hey, Ant, can I enter the contest?
I guess. It's not too fair because you could build your own blade, right?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. If I win, do I have to build my own, or will you build it for me? I'm kidding. I'm not going to win. I'm going to let everybody else have a chance to win.
Awesome. So tonight I actually have another channel called Comic Book Creation Live, where I draw my comic book Albatross Junction live with my friend Kevin and with Mundo, who was in the chat here before, but I think he's still working. So if you want to see us, we are there every single Wednesday night doing a live show for New Comic Book Day. If you're into comic books, you might want to check it out. We do pencils, inks, and colors for our comic book Albatross Junction. And what I'll do right now is I'll play our teaser trailer made by Matthew Corrado, who's Nova Star on the FX Sabers forum. He put together this 60-second trailer for us. I think it's really awesome. I'll play it for you guys, and if you want to join us at 10:15 tonight, oh no, it's 10:20 right now. So as soon as I get off of here, we'll jump on.
We ran along.
Jump on that show, and you could join in over there, and we'll be drawing for a couple hours tonight over on that channel. And I thank you all for joining us tonight. I really had a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to our Mandalorian discussion. We appreciate every one of you that made a comment here, and anyone that's going to watch this video in the future. So Harris, thanks a lot for coming. And
thanks for having me. It's always a blast, dude.
Yeah.
Looking forward to getting together with you when you get home, bud.
Thank you.
Can't wait.
Definitely.
How's Luke?
He's doing so awesome. He's so happy here.
Awesome. Good boy, my buddy.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. Check out this trailer, and we'll see you in the next Saber Talk.
Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy New Year. And be safe, everybody. Thanks for watching.
The sun is gone. A voyage to a faraway world ends in tragedy. One last chance for survival is found on an unlikely planet. Genetic material brought back could change the future of our world. Albatross Junction.